Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's AMA. We have some cool things to chat about. Not least is for those of you who are on Twitter, you might have noticed that we have just published details of more guides as to how to interact with the network on dao.cherry.network. A little bit more about that in a few minutes from Herman. He will be essentially announcing the bug bounty now. So this is an opportunity some of you have been eagerly awaiting. So we're glad to be able to announce it right now. In the meantime, while that's just being done and dusted, I'm going to give you the background and business update as to what's going on. And then Herman will come in a few minutes and he'll give us a more crucial and important update as to the strategic and core development goings on in the project over the past few days. So just bear with me there 2 seconds. I'm going to pull up my notes and we will be discussing what's been going on in the background over the past few days and what's coming, more importantly, in the next few days as well. So, following on from last week, a lot of you very nicely joined in with our AMA on the Project Killer Telegram channel, where we kind of went into quite some detail, myself and Herman, about the overall strategic and technical picture of the project. It was quite a nice discussion. It gave us an opportunity to answer some fairly probing questions. I'm going to just package that up somehow and present it to you guys in a more digestible format instead of having to go through their Telegram group. So I'll hopefully have that done this evening, and you guys can find out, what we've been thinking of and what we've been working on in a more detailed manner, which kind of supplements what we discussed last week in our strategy blog, which was very well received by our community and by some of our more larger institutional, you might say, investors. So as I have been saying, things are starting to ramp up and escalate at the moment, now that all that very important work has been done by the developers. Now we can kind of push this out more. So we're looking forward to the next few months. It's going to be an interesting summer for the project. It has been so far, and we're hoping to keep that momentum and keep things going. With regards to AMAs like that, they've been quite well received, as I said, and also we think that they're quite productive. So we're going to try and have more partners join our AMAs, and that we in turn will also join some of our other partners' AMAs and interviews over the next short while. Next week, I'm hoping that we'll have another partner join us, this time on Wednesday next week, and they'll share some of their insights from a partner perspective with you guys. So that should be interesting. As I said at the start of this call, the bug bounty is in the process of being launched, and that follows some pretty important upgrades and fine-tuning that was made to the various chains. It's very important that these things are done in good order and that they're done as safely as possible. It's quite important, especially in Web3, in a decentralized environment, that these things are not rushed and that they're done to the highest possible standard and the highest possible level of security, because a short wait of a couple of days is not really much in the long scheme of things, but mishaps and mishaps is the best way to put it, I suppose. Mishaps that, while they wouldn't actually put anyone's funds at risk, they might somewhat undermine confidence in the reliability of the chain, and that's exactly what we don't want. We haven't had such issues in the past, and we intend to never have them. So that's why there was a small wait over the past few days while everything was future proofed and just made as secure as possible. Now that that's done, thanks to the devs, we can kind of push out some of the things that we mentioned last week. So, most importantly, is of course the bug bounty, which is going to be discussed by Herman in a couple of minutes. And aside from that, more generally, we have a renewed focus on community marketing coming up. John and myself are going to be working on the kind of rejigging and revitalization of the Cherry Hype Squad. We had a lot of assistance and really good energy from you guys on this in the past. Now it's the time to go at it again. I think it's good to kind of do it in phases like we do, because there's no point in constantly pushing things when we're waiting for new upgrades and stuff. But now that things are really the rubber is meeting the road, so to speak, it's time to really put our backs behind the project and push on forward with that. There's ecosystem developments that I'm going to talk to you guys about, specifically Cherish and Seedling, later this week. It's no bad news at all. It's just something, kind of background info as to what's going on with them. And probably tomorrow, now that the bug bounty is going live today, we're going to do the merch shop tomorrow, maybe Friday. And maybe we might do the Cherry Hype Squad relaunch on tomorrow as well. I'm just going to decide that this evening. And aside from that, there are people still waiting for AMA quiz prizes, which will be addressed over the next couple of days. We've just been very busy at the moment. We haven't had time to get around to it. But some people are still waiting for prizes, so we'll get to that soon. Now, Herman has informed me that he's ready, so let's get to the more interesting stuff. Herman, are you there? And you can kind of share some details?
I'm ready. I made a bit of a mess on Twitter. For some reason, I've been doing the publishing. Oh, I know why. Yes, in short, the Cherry network compatibility parachain has been live on testnet for quite some time. We've been identifying a few issues, working with some community members, as well as core team, of course, continuously monitoring its activity over the past few months. Finding bugs weren't as many, but of course, the point of a testnet is to test things out and make sure that everything's ready for mainnet. So that and this time served its purpose well. We're now quite ready, I think, to bring this work to the public eye. Now, this doesn't mean that we're ready to launch on mainnet. What we want instead is to bring activity to testnet that is comparable, of course, in a much reduced fashion to what stress this feature would encounter on mainnet. And the way we do that is by providing the tools for laymen to use this parachain, as well as the various abstractions and features and palettes deployed on it and enabling its function. And as examples of those are a converter that we'll try to document on our documentation. We have a guide on how to use it. We don't exactly explain how it works. We'll try to address that, and that enables layman users to derive, or rather map, cryptographic derivations of Ethereum public keys over to our substrate native Cherry network public key, and vice versa, as well as perhaps something that you're more interested in on Explorer. Of course, any blockchain that's public is all fine and well. It's decentralized, and we know and we trust that the nodes don't coordinate, don't conspire, are sufficiently distributed, and act for either their own self-interest or cumulatively for the interest of the entire network, without forming cabals. But all this that is somewhat enforced by the protocol, that is intuitively and perhaps economically enforced by node infrastructure and node the way proofing works in proof of stake, for example, or nominate proof of stake. In our case, what users actually need and what users actually need to be sure that a network is truly decentralized, that transactions complete as they should, that there is no preference, that there is no conspiring, no colluding, no preference of one set of transactions over the other, no controlling, no censorship. What users need is a explorer. And that's what we provided. We are hard at work also building a new one, in addition to Cherry.place for our native chain. But I'm glad to say that with this deployment of the Cherry EVM the EVM compatibility parachain, you'll also be able to see the activity on that chain with an explorer currently hosted on evm.cherrylabs.org. We'll link all this and more on Twitter and our upcoming news feeds, whatever. So, as I mentioned, we feel we're quite confident to bring this product that we built over several months to the public. We have built and now published the tools that would enable laymen to understand and use these tools and use rather this network that we built, this stack that enables EVM compatibility on Cherry Network. And so the final step is to incentivize laymen, incentivize people to participate in this testing, and that's exactly what I'm announcing today in quite a roundabout fashion. I hope I didn't go into too much detail about the various tools and the effort required, but anyway, check out our Twitter. If you don't have Twitter, if you don't like Twitter, I personally don't use Twitter. Just check out our forum. We recently updated our forum yesterday. You can find it on dao.cherry.network. We published a bunch of tutorials, firstly, yesterday, and today, a bug bounty. Essentially, we promote the use of this new Cherry Network EVM compatibility parachain by assigning value in Cherry tokens to the completion of tasks. These tasks are easy as far as I see it. I ran through them all just a few moments ago. It shouldn't take more than maybe 8 minutes, 10 minutes. But it does give you a sense of all the various components tying the entire ordeal that we've built over the past few months together. It also enables us to see how they fare to widespread usage. We expect perhaps a few hundred people, a few thousand, to participate in this bug bounty. And should any issue occur, we can monitor it and promptly either work with the people that encountered it to understand if the problem is specific to their own system, or if it's widespread, if something such as network load affects the performance of the network. We can also monitor that and respond to it promptly, so that any issue is hammered out before the ultimate release of this parachain, EVM compatibility parachain on mainnet. Now, this bug bounty will run for 2 weeks. I set the final deadline for completion the 22nd of July. You can join in right now. Nothing particular is required of you, just a browser, perhaps not even a browser. If you have a phone, you can use your MetaMask browser, your True Wallet browser, as well as your normal browser to connect with Chair.place. The instructions are quite clear. If anything is unclear, just make a comment. We'll address it as soon as we can. If you need testnet tokens, testnet share, join our Discord. Discord is generally a good place to be. And we have a bot there that's enabled to send you 50 cherry tokens, and that should be plenty enough to complete these tasks, as well as play around a bit more. Enjoy. There's not much else to say. If you have any further questions about these tutorials, just make a comment on this forum. We'll try to clarify all that. If you are more interested in the technical implications, perhaps you want to ask how exactly these things work, in particular the XCM palette, which is perhaps the most advanced feature of this latest upgrade. The conversion tool from H160 addresses to SS58. If you're not interested, again, you can just ignore what I'm saying. But overall, if you have any questions about this, it's a combination of interacting with us on any one of these channels, Telegram, Discord, Twitter, or just waiting for the documentation that we've been adding on quite a bunch over the past few days, and plan to, especially as the questions arrive and we identify the issues that need most attention, to continue work on over the next few weeks. So that's it. If you have any questions, again, I'll be around all night. So feel free to start and perform these tasks. I also mentioned that there are additional rewards to testing the Ethereum virtual machine for additional functions beside the transfer function, which we know we're quite comfortable that it works. For example, you can deploy a smart contract. Now, of course, it sounds complicated. It really isn't. If you use Remix, Remix is an IDE that's on the cloud. You can use it on your browser again. You connect your MetaMask. You click one of the templated Solidity contracts. Open Zeppelin has one. There's many others on Remix, either ERC20, so fungible tokens, ERC721, they're non-fungible tokens. Mess around, click a few buttons, see if you can deploy it, see if you can interact with them in particular. We're interested in more complex functions, but also the standard templated functions of, let's say, ERC20s like transfer, mint, or burn. That's all of interest to us. So if you feel more adventurous, if you feel like you're comfortable with the Ethereum stack, or you realize that the steps involved in participating to the bug bounty proper are simple enough, try and do this remix or smart contract deployment on the Cherry compatibility, on the Cherry EVM compatibility parachain, and let us know how it goes. If you encounter anything notable, let us know. If it's good, we'll be happy to throw you some more chair, perhaps even mention you when eventually the release attribution and recognitions drop, when we tag the final version of this code on on GitHub. So with that, I just noticed a typo on my post. I will wish you good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are. And have fun. And thank you for joining. Thank you for your assistance. Thank you for your patience. This is a good achievement. I think, though the bug bounty is just that, it's just a way to get people and pay them to test our network. I think it's also a good ritual to have in an open forum, in an open network, in a transparent and quite horizontal organization like Cherry that really wants to engage its community and let them participate not only in the pleasures of using Cherry and taking part in our building of our vision, but also practically in the building of our code. All right, goodbye.
Thank you very much, Herman. And yet, I think we all agree that it is, while it is just a bug bounty, these things are a very tangible and impressive step forward, and it's a very good way as well to get more participation and buy-in from the community in the Cherry vision and where we're going in the short term, medium term, and long term. So that's fantastic. I think what we're going to do now is I'll leave you now. We're going to follow up on those couple of things that I mentioned earlier as well. The focus will be on the bug bounty for today, and then later this week, those other items will be released as I mentioned. In the meantime, the next order of business is our weekly quiz. As I mentioned earlier, we'll resolve those outstanding prizes in the next couple of days. But in the meantime, very good luck, or very best of luck with the quiz. And I'll talk to you guys later as the questions roll in about the bug bounty, etc. So thanks for joining us. John's going to mute the chat now, and we'll continue with the quiz, and I'll talk to you all